Welcome. It's the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. Rob Simpson here in the top corner. Also in the penthouse today, Chris Perry. Look at him, living large up top here. TK Indicena downstairs with the recently unfortunate Michelle Vatura, who seems to be stuck in the bottom position here for the last couple of shows. It's tough. One of these days, you'll earn your way back up.
On my way back up.
Climb back up to the top position. But it could happen right now because we're talking about Kwesst Intelligent Microsystems. Just the name itself is over my head. So we'll start off with TK to talk about Kwesst. That's KWESST.
Awesome. I think I'm going to garner some haters here from what I'm about to say, but I think it should be said. We have an anti-halal, anti-ESG firm here. It's a market intelligence and military homeland security company. It's basically anything to do with the military. But as Vishal said before we started, it is for self-defense.
Non-lethal.
And it's non-lethal. But that's essentially what the firm is about. And the amazing thing about this is over the last few years, they've gone from $100,000 in sales to almost 1 point something million as of the last 12 months. So there is a demand for it, even though everything around us is changing.
What are we looking at in terms of numbers and charts, Vishal, for Kwesst?
So Kwesst, I mean, as you can see here, very, very bullish right now. We did have a big fall when the price hit 235. It hit highs of about 250. And it seems here back in June 22nd, June 24th, don't really seem to see any news that came out around that period, but it does look more as support zone bounce here. Technically, there was earnings a few weeks before that big pop here, and maybe the market took notice of that. But after that, I mean, we went up, I can measure this, almost 185%. From the lows of around 80 cents, and we hit 220 just a few weeks ago here in August. So the market definitely likes it. And from here, we got to now wait. We're testing the $2 zone here to see if we can find some sort of support here, or do we roll back and maybe test the support down here at 170? Market cap is 84 million. And so far, year to date, the stock is up 50.76%. And in the last 3 months, it's almost up 100% on its own. So the market does seem to like this. I do think, as TK said, an anti-halal, anti-ESG stock. I do follow a lot of like the defense companies, the big ones in Canada, CAE, for example. With recent things in Afghanistan and stuff, I think investing in defense, it's always controversy. There's always controversy behind it, but Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, those are stocks that people do like. In Canada, I think, I mentioned CAE. I think there's also, I'm going to butcher the name, but Hero or something like that, French name. But a lot of people like those military stocks. There is a bit of discrepancy because, looking at geopolitics, some people think, the next wars are not necessarily going to be men, on the ground, but it's going to be more cybersecurity, drones, and all that kind of stuff. These guys do cover that. I do see some drones and, taking out drones and all like non-lethal stuff. But the whole idea of public security, with riots and the non-lethal weapons to disperse that kind of stuff, I think in the future we're going to actually be seeing a lot of that. And, currently in the world, we are seeing some of that. So this could be one of those plays, that has some fundamental backing behind it.
Yeah, they have electronic decoys. They have drone surveillance, which is non-lethal. But they also have listed, and I'm trying to figure out how this is non-lethal, heavy machine guns and grenade launchers. So that's, trying to figure out how they work that out. But
so the company isn't necessarily non-lethal. It has non-lethal products, but what they're mainly about is defense. So, if you're adamantly against military investments, as, I think probably a lot of people are, especially the younger ilk, Do you count some company that makes body armor as being a military stock, right? These guys aren't creating bunker busters. They're not building bullets. What they're building is drones that detect enemy drones and then spear themselves into that enemy drone and take them out. They're building things like, the way I've described it since we've been covering this company is if you play Call of Duty or Battlefield or any of the shooter games out there, you're used to a lot of things like knowing how many bullets are in your gun, right? Being able to create a decoy. Like in the reality, these things surprisingly don't exist. The things that we're all used to seeing in battle games, they don't exist so much in the real world. So things like putting a bullet counter on your gun makes it a much more usable product and is a small buy-in to get into a very sprawling market. So these guys are all about acquiring young tech for small things that can be added to a much bigger enterprise. Not necessarily non-lethal, but more defensive focused, right? How do you stop soldiers who, the military spends millions of dollars training, employing, and then putting around the world? How do you save their lives 5% more than usual? How do you help them do their job without being attacked by guerrillas, of the UE or O variety, for that matter, from the sides? So, what I really like about Kwesst, and I'll try and keep this short because I could go on for a long time, is that they've penetrated the military in the US, right? They've managed to get themselves looked at as a company that can do business with the US military and with US police forces and other militaries around the world, including Canada. And that's a 5-year process for any new company, right? In order to get there, you've got to be able to penetrate multiple lines of bureaucracy. You've got to be able to get through the security checks, the background checks. All your people have to get through those background checks. You've got to be able to open your tech up for due diligence. Like, there's a whole lot of things. If you and I decided we were going to sell stuff to the military, good luck. We've got a long way to go and a lot of money to spend to get to the point where we could do that. These guys have done that. And so while the stock, did have a bad early part of the year, it came down pretty hard from its highs. What happened 6 weeks ago in the world that was notable? The US started pulling out of Afghanistan and the Taliban came back. And what happened to the stock? It went from 80 cents to $2, right? So if you're of the belief that the world is not necessarily where it needs to be politically, and that there may be a war or two, or that there may be some disrest, some unrest, this is the kind of stock that you want to be in, because the rising tide will lift this boat, but you're not actually wrapping your dollars around blood, right? You're not making people die. What you're doing is you're stopping some people from dying. And you can argue the pros and cons of the US military, and I'll be right there with you. Not always doing what they're supposed to do in a perfect world, but protecting soldiers, I put in a whole different category than blowing soldiers up.
That's true. I think it's a trend, kind of what you're alluding to, even with the bigger firms like Palantir. For example, in 2019, this is around when they started initiating some of their programs. They were getting government programs for close to 800 million, but they have the brand power and the moat to do that because they're in the US as well. They've gone through all the checks and balances. But since then, they've also done 2 more deals. They did another one in December of 2020, close to $400 million contract with the US. And then just this year in August, they did one for $100 million. And now the company is saying we're now trying to pose ourselves as the global defense leader. And they're taking the strategic business that side. So it's kind of a market that I think if these guys are realizing it, Kwesst is in a place where they focus on it exclusively. Yeah. And to get those contracts is probably very difficult, but the fact that they're getting there is the biggest factor. And there's nothing more stable than military funding contracts.
Yep, no, 100%.
Michelle, are you investing in this right now?
I would be buying some. Just echoing what Chris said, I think the world is going to see more conflicts. So basically, as an investor, it does mean a lot of military stocks. Again, whether we like it or not, but there is some dilemma there, and ethics and investing. But I'm bullish on all these defense stocks. This is a way to play one that's more about defending soldiers rather than buying military companies that build missiles and aircraft and weapons that kill soldiers. So I think this whole sector is going to see some growth. Huge marketplace, and I think it's a good idea to have this. If you're like me and you think there's going to be more issues in the world globally as we go forward.
How much you spending on it, CP, and how quickly?
Well, I'd be looking at dips. Like when it was at 80 cents, I thought this is crazy cheap. Clearly someone else had the same idea and started buying up everything. I don't know, we're going to see 80 cents again. So the question is now, does it stabilize at $2 or does it have catalyst to jump up from there? Volume has dried up a little bit in August. People obviously on a bit of a look and see. But if I go through the product line here is what they've got: non-lethal low energy cartridges, Android team awareness kit. They've got electronic decoy, counter drones. Like these are all, if I'm looking at military spending, these are areas where I believe military spending is going to increase year over year over year. And, being in these businesses, they've, to me, they're putting themselves down for a good future. I wouldn't necessarily buy this stock because I think it's going to go up tomorrow. I would buy this stock as part of my retirement. I don't think that they disappear into the woodwork. I think that they just every year are going to keep adding, keep getting better and bigger and more innovative. And any one of these products, if the US government decides that every soldier should have it, well, that's a company maker right there. So, I'd be buying a little bit. I already hold quite a significant amount on this. And, though I sold a little bit on the way up the first time around, I have been holding on to it since. I believe in these people as much as anything else. And, the old adage, you always bet on the jockey, not the horse. I think the horse is good, but I think the jockeys are exceptionally experienced, focused, and they understand this industry better than I think anyone in Canada.
I think I was just going to quickly say we should point out, I believe next week they have earnings as well. So that will be a big catalyst.
Right about the time people are watching this. Kwesst is Ottawa-based, and they're on the TSXV. So Canada money. Check it out. Of course, the advice we've given you is not guaranteed. Past performance does not guarantee future results, folks. So please do your own investment research when you're sending dollars out into the market. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next time. This is Kwesst Microsystems, and it's the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable with Chris and TK and Vishal and yours truly. We'll see you next time.